Now, we are on a mission to find what's working to solve the homeless and addiction crisis.
And with this, we sent Elise Haas to find programs that are flying under the radar, but are also showing signs of great success.
For me, it's about the why. Why is something working? How can we as a community, county, city, and state expand on that? So the concept in this case is as simple as having people in recovery volunteer. Chelsea Donner is the lead liaison for Central City Concern's Community Volunteer Corps. She oversees people in early addiction and homeless recovery complete an 80-hour volunteer program. She can relate to her clients.
I struggled with drug and alcohol addiction for the better part of 20 years.
It wasn't until last year Chelsea was ready to get clean.
I just hit like a spiritual low that I was just willing and desperate to do whatever was suggested to me. Through the mentor program, it was the first time in my life I felt like I had a safe place to stay. And there were folks that believed in me when I really didn't believe in myself.
She too completed the 80 hours of volunteer work, like packing boxes of food for families in need, landscaping at Portland Parks, and helping at the Ronald McDonald House. Now, she's on the other side, like her coworker, Jonathan Wall.
The reality is that I'm a recovering addict, and I was at a point in my life where I needed some help.
He found that help at Hooper Detox. That got him into Central City Concern's Community Volunteer Corps, also known as CVC.
So if you look outside in Portland, you see that we're struggling, right? People need help. They need a way to give back. They need a place to start.
Volunteering is a simple starting point that they say can help pave the way to reintegrate back into the workforce and build community.
Just the basics of like following a schedule, one day a week, showing up on time, getting to know like my peers, and because the one thing that we all have in common is, we're struggling with addiction.
Giving back was a way they could get their lives back.
I have been homeless. I've been incarcerated. Like, I am now a program manager for this program, and I'm not the only one. We have nurses, small business owners, construction workers, all sorts of people that started their journey with a basic volunteer program, and now their lives are amazing.
But if only supportive employment programs were easy to come by.
It is one of the first things that funders cut when they're considering budgets, and it's really tragic because it's actually cost effective and has an incredible return on investment.
Central City Concern's data reports that if someone is introduced to employment services at any point in their recovery journey, they're 7 times more likely to remain employed, housed, and clean.
When somebody has the ability to have an income, that is so critical to their ability to move from subsidized housing into the community again. And that's what we need. We need folks moving through the continuum of care.
Leaders at Central City Concern encourage the state, county, and city to fund sustainable employment service programs. Another Oregon nonprofit shares this view. Work Systems invests in workforce quality in Portland and nearby counties, but notes that Oregon heavily relies on federal funding for employment training. At the federal level, these resources have been declining for decades. According to Work Systems, nationally, the U.S. spends 1/3 on employment services compared to its spending in the 1970s.
In other words, we need consistent funding that goes beyond just 1 year. We don't need to fund the shiny new object. We need to fund the things we know work.
A 2023 study focused on the Portland metro area found that Central City Concern's employment program had the highest success rate. Every dollar CCC spent on employment services nearly doubled its return on investment to society. Yet, the same study recorded the top problems for employment service providers: insufficient funding and workforce shortages. These are linked. Low wages contribute to the lack of staff.
I've been really baffled. I cannot understand why people don't see the need to invest in employment services, because it is such a huge part of somebody's road to recovery.
Central City Concern says the public and private sectors in the Portland metro area need to work together to reconnect people to the labor market.
And as recovering addicts, we can give back to the community. We can be a good workforce.
My years of warehouse experience.
You're going to be my boss pretty soon.
Experts who work in employment services stress that getting people job training should be prioritized at the same rate as shelter and housing. I talked to the mayor's office. They're now trying to provide employment services in their safe rest villages and temporary alternative shelters, aiming to secure funding for this pilot program by July 1st. Meanwhile, the Joint Office of Homeless Services funds several employment programs with local nonprofits. They're budgeting $5.7 million to the effort this year. One thing that government agencies agree on is that they do need to fund employment services, but also they need the private employers to give people in recovery a chance by hiring them.